So I want to throw a pitch to you guys. And this pitch is about a play I've been working on for a while. It's finished, and this has been a special project I've been working on for a long time. Trigger warning about this play. It involves death and self-deletion, so if you're not in the best headspace for this, I totally understand. But for those who want to stay, come grab a chair, pour your favorite drink, and welcome to Paramessia. Alright, so what kind of play am I pitching to you all? Well, it's a play about death, about empathy, and moving on. Imagine this. You have a sudden urge to get a drink, but not just any drink that is in your cupboard, something special. A certain brand you can't get on your own, a cocktail you can't make, so you wander the streets of your town. You can't seem to find your usual haunts that you go to. None of those can satisfy the thirst behind your throat. You need a special kind of place that can do that. When you finally turn the corner of the block, you see a quaint little bar that seems to draw your interest. The neon lights of the open sign lure you in like a lighthouse. You open the door and see that the bar is a mix between a high-class and dive bar. There are shelves of board games, books, TVs, and any sort of entertainment you can imagine to keep you there. There is already a small group of people at the bar nursing their drinks to different degrees. The bartender spots you and gives you a warm smile. Welcome to Paramessia. I'm Sam. Here's the premise of the play. The bar is limbo, a purgatory of lost souls who have cut their life short and don't know how to move on. Sam is Samael, the angel of death, and he runs it all by himself. Well, currently runs by himself. Sam sort of let go of his staff after they were doing things that he wasn't approving of. They weren't bad employees per se, but they were doing what they were meant to do. Help people move on. And Sam is really not for that. Because you see, the bar is a sort of a transition for those who have ended their lives early. And in this bar, their job is to help people move on. To be able to let go of what happened and try again for a full life. But for Sam, that is a heavy toll one has to take. Because the moment a new guest enters the bar, they know everything about the person. Their life, what they did, why they did it, and what they wanted for life. And it gives them empathy, helps them give them peace of mind. There's only so much peace a person or a force of nature can give before you run out. And that is what happened to Sam. Empathy is a double-edged sword. It can be a welcoming tool where you can help others and yourself to get over a hardship. Thing is, if you give it too much, you start to drown and you can't move on. And Sam can't move on. They are stuck in letting others stay in empathizing with their cause and doing what is necessary when it comes to death. Moving on. It's the sole reason why they let go of their entire staff. They were trying to help others move on while Sam didn't want that for the guests. They want them to give a chance to have the sense of peace they never had in life. They gave so much for the dead, and all they want now is to give them a little peace after everything that has happened. Sam is based on the archangel Samael, who is based on Jewish mythology as the angel of death, which I thought was really cool. He's also considered to be a bad guy in Jewish mythology, which I found interesting. I think it's always interesting to see that people in some cultures view death as a bad thing, when in other cultures it's celebrated. And what I want to do is give something I think that any person would give to people who have met their end of their life. Empathy. Talked enough about Sam. What about the customers that are drawn into the bar? The regulars who always find their favorite seats no matter what? Well, let's get into it. First off, we have Nicholas, a writer from the 80s who, after gaining success from his short stories, finally gets a book deal from his publishers. And the weight of that adds pressure. Writing becomes more difficult with each passing session. When he finishes the first draft, his editor lets him know that the ending is very depressing and needs to be changed. And this is going to be hard for dear old Nick, because he doesn't believe in happy ending for stories. He believes that the world is a pretty sad place. A lot of sad and bad things happens all the time, and with it, it doesn't reflect the reality of the world. He can't force himself to write a happy ending. But if he doesn't get it done, there is going to be a fine. A huge one. Seeing that the deadline is getting closer, he is only halfway through, so he makes sure his life insurance is enough to help his family and ends his own story. When drafting Nicholas, I wanted to explore two things: the pressure of being a creator of a medium and being a cynical realist. And what I mean by cynical realist, I mean someone who sees what's happening in the real world realistically, but is a bit cynical. Because I feel like it's pretty easy to be a cynic in this world we live in. It can be cruel and a heartless place. If you're not hardened enough, you're going to have chunks of your flesh ripped out and you will die. So to protect yourself, you gotta look at things realistically with a dash of cynicism. To keep your senses sharp. It's something I've always wanted to explore with people with kind of a cynic mindset. Because I'm not a cynic. I'm an optimist when it comes to most things, so exploring and challenging a mindset that's kind of easy to fall into. Next up, focused up in the corner of a bar with a laptop and stewing with stress for assignments and paper, Sage. Sage is a college student from the early 2000s who is struggling to keep up with their high demand that is called for in college. The constant flood of assignments, papers that never seem to end, that is the struggle of a student. They always try their best when it comes to doing the work, but it never seems to be enough. They always seem to fail or be behind on task. Then there is their name. Every day they hear a name that doesn't fit them, that doesn't belong to them. It's not there because it was given by somebody else. They wanted their own name, a name that truly felt like theirs. All they want is to hear people say their name. And their name is Sage. So fun fact, I based parts of Sage college experience with my own. I wasn't having the best of time. I always felt behind, classes were a struggle to go through, and the pressure to succeed in college just ate at me. I felt like it's not talked enough how college is so freaking tough. Like people say, it's a struggle. But nothing they can say can prepare you for the blood, sweat, tears, and parts of your soul you'll have to put into it. I mean, college should be hard, but it shouldn't be so hard to the point that where one's life is in danger of losing it. College should be hard, but it shouldn't be so hard to the point where one is in danger of losing one's life. College shouldn't be that way. And in there, I also explored non-binary characters who are still in the closet and having to live with being called a name that doesn't belong to them. For the record, not once do I dead name Sage in this play. Everyone else calls them Sage. I feel like when it comes to writing, we tend to land on the exploitation side of LGBTQIA, mental health, or any disability in general. All the characters, when exploring their past, calls them Sage. Because that's what they wanted to be called. And we should respect that for a character. After that, there is one resident who has been there the longest out of the residents. Someone who has been drowning in spirits that the bar provides. One who treats their drinks as their close personal friend. Someone who has been there for them for the longest time. This resident name is Emily. She's a comedian from the 1940s. Always prepared for jokes to fire off to other customers or being friends with the bartender, Sam. But underneath jokes and drinks is someone who is hiding something that's been haunting her ever since she entered the bar. Like I said, Emily comes from the 40s, where it was a dangerous place to be any form of queer. She's always been hiding who she is from her parents due to fear and anxiety. She had a partner, but unfortunately they were raided and they ended up in jail. Emily was bailed out from her parents, and she worked tirelessly to get her partner out of jail. But her alcohol addiction consumed her money and her life. When devising this character, I had been watching The Marvelous Mrs. Maisel, and I was inspired from that template. Having a comedian from that period who wasn't afraid to speak her mind was fascinating, and I wanted to implement that. I also wanted to write a story about the one barfly who seems to stick around the bar because they always seem to have a story to tell. A reason to drink and enjoy their time with the spirits they hang out with. Emily was one of those characters I had a lot of fun writing. I had so much fun writing her dialogue and having this air of confidence around her with whatever she says. There is also another one I had a lot of fun writing, but we'll get to them later. At last, we are at the final resident of the bar. The one who just came to it, and whose condition is a little different from the rest of the members of the bar. This person, unlike the rest of the members, remembers what they were doing before they went to the bar. to an extent. Her name is Sarah. Sarah has always been depressed. She could never really figure out what had caused it or why she's depressed. She's just been depressed. Nothing has truly worked. Meds have never been able to take the edge off her brain. Tools and therapies have been proven ineffective against it. Nothing has been able to stop her depression from eating away from her. Her dad has been encouraging to help and provide support, but even that can't help her from drowning in the water that continues to rise every day. Sarah is a special case when it comes to the bar, because she's only half dead. Currently, due to her actions, she's in a coma. She's been in one for a few months. She's what the bar calls a floater. A floater is someone who's in between life and death. Generally, floaters are dealt with quickly, because someone who remembers what happened to them can shake the residents of the bar who don't know they are dead. They are a ticking time bomb and must face the choice that plagues them: stay alive or move on. When devising Sarah, I wanted to talk about how depression can eat away at a person. Because sometimes it feels like that. Like nothing is working. But I wanted there to be a light at the end of the tunnel. That there can be some peace with people that reach out to support. Sometimes we make mistakes when we're in the tar pit of depression. And the only way to get out of it is to help from the outside forces to pull us out. I wanted to write something that showed off there is still a chance for a person, no matter how deep they're in. Because that story in particular is very close and dear to my heart. Last but not least, I want to talk about the people who make sure the bar is run correctly. The employees. Now, when Sam implemented the new rule of letting the residents of the bar to stay instead of moving on, a lot of them quit, because they were not doing their job that they were assigned to do. But with Sam drowning in their empathy, someone had to be objective. A little harsh to give others the push that they needed. That is where two returning employees come in: Sharon and Luce. Luce is the other active manager of the bar. They have been treating the place like a business, only seeing customers as, well, customers. They are not a hospitality, they are a service. Luce, when it comes to death, is not cold but tough love. They understand it's rough, but they give it an extra push that is needed to help move on. Because sometimes we need that push to move on from the tar pit we're stuck in. If Luce has to be the bad guy, then so be it. They are okay with being the bad guy. They have been painted as the bad guy all their life, so they will do what they must to help get through to their customers. Sharon is a very different case. Sharon is very much a buffer when it comes to their employers. Very much not wanting them to clash and keep the peace, but not afraid to call things out when necessary. They just want to do their job and provide comfort to those who need it. They want to provide things like their favorite meal from the living, their most precious object. They just want to see those in the bar be happy and succeed. They want to see them move on. So if you haven't figured it out, Luce is Lucifer. I know this might be a controversial take, but I don't like the idea of Lucifer being a bad guy. It's very overplayed and kind of boring. I wanted to make a Lucifer that had layers. Lucifer is also the angel in death in some mythologies, which I thought was really cool. Like, I thought it was an underplayed element of Lucifer's character. You have an angel who's been considered as the bad guy being associated with one of the most scary aspects of life. It was honestly fascinating, and I wanted to play how Lucifer would think of death and their job. So when writing Luce, I thought of them as the other side of the coin of Sam. They want to help out the residents by facing their death, but they are not slaves to their empathy. They can look objectively and see how much is needed to help others move on. I wanted two clashing ideals of how to deal with death. One filled with empathy, and the other with logic and common sense. Because we've all had those people in our lives that would allow us to mourn for a certain amount of time before giving us some tough love to help move on to the next stages of grief. Luce was also another character I enjoyed writing for. They're very unabashed, and they will speak their mind to it. And it was so refreshing to write a character that also didn't speak their mind. So Sharon was kind of hard to write. If you don't know, Charon is based on Greek mythology of like Charon, the ferryman and everything. He's pretty much the gopher to bring people to where they need to go in the underworld. In earlier drafts of Paramessia, I had the bar still had their employees. The employees were some of the famous archangels, Gabriel, Michael, and Raphael. What I wanted to do was see how being too oversympathetic could affect others members of circles of friends or of employees, and how being restricted from not doing their job can be a bad thing and give the place a bad working environment. In all honesty, I love writing for the three and putting them in the environment of Paramessia. They had so much chemistry with one another, and I love writing their responses to the bullshit that was happening in the bar. But if you were counting, I have 7 characters in this play. A lot of people mentioned in the earlier drafts that I had too many characters, so I had to cut them. But I went in a different direction. In the earlier drafts of the play, Charon felt a little bland, so I used some aspects of each of the Archangel's characters and gave them the spice that they needed to give them life. Writing this version of Charon was kind of fun. It was fun seeing Charon have this balance of being professional around the customers and wanting to speak their mind to Sam, who has lost their self. In combining those aspects, I was able to save a character from being bland and give them interesting aspects of what and how a bar should be run. And yeah, that is all the characters of Paramessia. That's essentially the pitch I wanted to throw to you guys. I've already written the play. When I was in college, I asked my professor if I could have a reading done for it, because there's only so much you can do by reading it yourself. And thankfully, they said yes. And it was a lot of fun. It was stressful, because it was the first time I had one of my plays read or performed by other people that wasn't me. The cast we got to read was incredible. They were able to perform how I imagined these characters would, and also saw aspects of them I never thought I would see due to their amazing interpretations. And now, the next step is to put this play into festivals or competitions and get to see it actually perform with a full production with lights, blocking, costumes, and sounds. If you guys are interested, I can do an online reading of this play with some performers so y'all can hear the story. But yeah, this was just me wanting to talk about a story that I have put a lot of blood, sweat, and tears. This is one of my babies. I want to see it flourish. And honestly, I really dig the universe I've crafted in this play. I'm already drafting other plays set in Western religion where I explore the other aspects of the afterlife, like heaven and hell. I'm even writing a play about Adam and Eve and how Eve finally builds up the strength to leave him, and characters like Sam kind of like makes a cameo in it and everything. So yeah, if you guys want to hear more about plays or stories that I've written, let me know in the comments below. It was a lot of fun writing this pitch for y'all. And if you want to support me, then please check out my Ko-fi. Like and subscribe, check out my other socials, and yeah, I'll see you later. Peace.